Perfect.
So first, Remy, I'm going to speak Portuguese and then switch to English, okay?
That will be better because I don't understand Portuguese at all.
Nice. Bom dia a todos, gente. Vamos a começar então nossa palestra de iQFoil com Rémi Vila, designer da Starboard, e a gente vai ter a ilustre presença do Adrien Gaillard, nosso treinador de nossa equipe da Olímpica, da RCX feminina. O Adrien colocou à disposição da gente o contato com o Rémi e a gente vai ter uma oportunidade única, né, de poder conversar, de poder trocar essas ideias sobre esta nova classe olímpica. Acho que muitos de vocês já leram, já conhecem, mas como sempre na classe olímpica que começa vai ter muitos steps, né? E isso vai ser importante para todo mundo estar com uma boa estratégia e um planejamento para dar certo. Então, Adrien, em nome da Confederação Brasileira de Vela e seu presidente, Marco Aurélio de Sá Ribeiro, agradecer a tua presença aqui, agradecer também o apoio do Comitê Olímpico Brasileiro e passar a palavra para começar a iniciar. Antes, eu gostaria de agradecer ao Rémi. Rémi, thank you very much for this opportunity in behalf of the Confederation, the Brazilian Confederation, and his president, Marco Aurélio de Sá Ribeiro. It's a pleasure to have you here speaking to our sailors and our community. So, merci. Thank you very much. Adrien is going to be doing most of the questions, and we are here just to learn more about the starboard.
Okay, nice, no problem.
Well, thank you very much, Rémi, for being here with us. We are very grateful you can share your experience and knowledge with us. So first, for the one who don't know you, I'm gonna introduce you with the people so they know better about you. So you're French, but you are actually very close to Brazil because you're from Martinique. Okay. Yeah. So
very important.
You're from the Caribbean, so you're
Yes.
almost Brazilian. You are a twice raceboard world champion.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been passionate about windsurf since the very beginning, and you've been working for Starboard for almost 20 years now. So first as a tester, and now you're research and development manager for Starboard. You've been doing a lot of stuff recently. You are the main designer of the iSonic, the best slalom board on the market, and you had a critical responsibility in designing the iQFoil, sorry, the next Olympic stuff for 2024 Olympics. So, did I miss anything, Rémi?
Yes, I have a son. His name is Alex.
And we all hope he's feeling better now because we knew something wrong happened with him last week, and we're glad he's feeling better, and we hope he's gonna have a nice surgery next week.
Yeah, the plan is surgery next Saturday, so he will be not happy, I think, that day. But
Yeah.
everything for the moment is perfect. But last Friday, I'm very sorry again, but we have to run to the hospital, and I forgot about everything. And it's when I come back, I say, oh, shit, I forgot something. But family is more important, so sorry for that.
No worries, Rémi. We fully understand the situation. So the most important is we're back here together. So let me explain you, Rémi, what we've been doing here in Brazil. On the past few weeks, you know, with the quarantine, we've not been able to sail a lot. So we took advantage of this extra time to be diving a bit more deeper into how the foil is working, you know. So we've been working all together. We've been understanding the incidence of the wingspan, the chord, the thickness of the wing, the length of the mast, the length of the fuselage. So it's been great to be diving into all these because now we understand the fundamentals of foiling. But you know what's happening with when you start researching, you're getting with more and more questions. So at some point we couldn't answer those questions, and we're asking, man, who's the king of the foil here? Who can answer those questions? And we thought about you. So that's the reason why we're here.
I will try.
Okay, great. So let's start with a question regarding the mechanics. It's not about iQFoil precisely, but it's more about how a foil is working on the water. And we've been comparing the designs of all the foils we can find on markets. I'm going to show you with a PowerPoint I've been doing recently. And it's about a stab. So we see that in between all the foils, guys came to a pretty much closed design by the length of the mast, the wingspan of the front wing, etc. But you still have huge differences about the stab. And we can see that the starboard stab is G100. And some other brands like in your surfing design, actually it's you have some different designs very different designs about the stab, and we just wanted to understand what are those differences, why you pretend to do that, and so basically what is your opinion about it, and why is it so important to have this kind of design for the foil?
Okay, so for me, I'm taking care particularly of the racing development. For all the stuff in SUP or surf, I participate a very little bit, but I know basically the difference that we have between SUP on racing. The stuff is simple that when the tail wing is reversed, like the Phantom, you can see that is also at the bottom of the fuselage for the Phantom, but all the other racing foils are on top of the fuselage. On the wing is go to the surface, let's say. The Phantom is the opposite. And basically, this is good for all the surf foil, because when you are surfing the waves, you never have the stab who is going out, particularly when you carve a lot. This kind of stuff we don't need it on racing. So I don't know why Phantom go to that direction, because they are alone go to that direction. So maybe it will be better to ask them their designer why they do this, because when you look at all the other foil in racing, it's totally opposite, because we want to go fast and straight.
Okay, I understand. And why is not the stab completely flat? Why do you need some curve?
This is important also. Front wing on tail wing have to have a curve. Why? If you put a flat front wing or back wing, then you lose totally the stability. So that means if it's totally flat, you will not have lateral grip at all on directional. So it will be going like in zigzag like crazy, very fast. So we try this many times. For example, the wings the front wings that you can see on our fuselage right now, we try totally flat without this curve, but it's impossible to control actually. You are going in zigzag full power into the crash, because it's impossible to control. So when you go for a foil like you can see, you just put for SUP, who is going very slow. This kind of foil, for example, is a maximum 15, 16 knots in speed, while the racing for the best guys go over 30 knots. So it's double the speed. And so the control is another issue, of course, in racing.
I understand.
But even for slow speed, here you have a very thick profile to have a lot of power to stay up in very low speed. So you have a huge profile on that foil. But for this, you need to have a very thick foil and allow you to foil in very low speed. So like, you can stay up in 5 knots easy. And I'm not talking about wind speed. I'm talking about the speed of the hull. So it's different topic, and it's very maneuverable also.
Great. So you guys, when you design the iQFoil, you are focused on speeds between 15 and 25 knots, basically.
Even more, because we can reach more speed than that. And but it's important to have a combination with particularly upwind, downwind, with the best performance as possible. So here is not a slalom foil, the iQFoil, because we develop also special foil for slalom that will come up in the market this year. And they are again quite different.
Sure. Great. Excellent, Rémi. Thank you very much. We go forward with another question regarding the fuselage. So Starboard recently developed a new fuselage, the 115 plus and 95 plus. So comparing to the older foils, they basically allow to have the front wing around 10 centimeters more forward. So the pros that are that the stab can be close, the front wing can be closer to, no, the stab can be closer to neutral, and therefore allow less drag, which gives better opportunities for speed and angle. The disadvantage I heard from experienced foilers was that increasing that distance, I'm basically talking about this distance. Let me show you. Increasing this distance, you were potentially creating some twists, some yaw, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to have your opinion about it. If you had some issues testing this.
Okay.
And,
so you're right that more you put the front wing forward, more you generate twist, because more distance you have between the mast and the front wing. You have a couple of rotation somehow. You make you have a lot of twists on the mast. The reason why the iQFoil mast is much stiffer than the previous version mast to cancel this problem. So this allows us to have the front wing even more forward. And we have not in iQFoil, but we have even another fuselage that we call the 115 plus plus, with the ultimate fuselage for super light wing. On this one, the front wing is even more forward, and it gives you amazing light wing performance. But of course, you get overpower more quickly also.
Okay. But I was wondering, because when I see the kiters, they have their mast in between their two legs. So why is it so important to have the mast at this position, like the normal board position? Isn't it possible to put like let's say the foil box more forward, and then we will resolve this situation?
I invite people who have this idea. We try many positions more forward to see if we can do it. But have you ever tried to put simple your slalom fin or your formula fin in a box with a 10 cm more forward? How it works?
I never actually, that's
impossible. Why? Because you make simple your, suddenly you have, how do you say that? Merde, le plan anti-dérive. I don't know how to say that in English. Maybe Adrien, you can help me. Le plan anti-dérive.
So yeah, so basically you don't have any, you're moving, you might be moving this way, right? You can push properly.
So if you put a fin, imagine you put your fin 20 cm more forward. You won't be happy, because the board will be, you cannot push on your back foot normally. On the board, we have a tendency to go upwind, downwind all the time without control. It's exactly the same stuff on the foil, because it's not only the foil, you have the mast. So we don't have to forget about the mast with also against the water. And if you put this force more forward, then you lose completely the balance. So the reason why we are obliged somehow to have a long fuselage, to have a front wing more forward to get more light wing performance and more upwind, downwind performance.
I get it. Thank you very much, Rémi. Yeah, cool. So nice. I have another question regarding shimming, actually, because we've seen that Yeah, you knew that would be happening, right? The Olympic sailors, they got the stuff, and then the first question is what can I change? What can I modify, and what can I adapt for better? You know, it's like compulsive for the Olympic sailors, and you knew that before beginning. You've been an Olympic sailor yourself, and so we saw that the main trimming, the main ways to adapt the setting was by the rake and by changing the profile of the fuselage also according to the mast. So I'm going to show this one. I have a problem with my PowerPoint, so I'm sorry about that. I won't be able to, for some reason, it doesn't work properly, but basically some top foilers, they're putting some stuff in between their fin box and the mast inside the fin box. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, what is your recommendation of angle between the wing and the board?
Alors, this was something which was common to do this because we didn't have the shim for the tail wing. So to trim the foil, we was putting a shim in the box. With the iQFoil, you don't need to do this anymore. You set up your foil, you screw properly, full power, and you will have your foil between 1 and 1.5 degrees. So how you get this? In general, you get 1.3. But how to get this? You use, for example, on your phone, the application level, and you set up your phone in front of the fin box about 10, 15 cm. You set up at 0. Then you put your phone exactly on top of the fuselage, just behind the front wing. And you should find a value between 1 and 1.5. In general, you will find 1.3, the perfect setup. And then, because you have different shim with 6 in total, you have a multiple trim. So for Olympic riders, this is fantastic because before they have the rig that they can set up in any direction, they still have this. They have the board that actually they cannot send it because there is no benefits in the air at all. It's not like RS6. But anyway, RS6 couldn't allow this kind of stuff also. But now it's all about the setting of the foil, with new for them, but it's very exciting. Sorry. So basically, to start, you will put shim 0. And then you have a tail wing is already set up at -2. And then if you need more control, you will go to -0.5, -1, -1.5, until -2. So this is within a very strong wing. And if you want more power, then you put the shim +1, and you will get quite a lot of power. But you can get also overpower quite quickly.
So to resume, your recommendation is to be only playing on the stab, no rake, nothing else.
Nothing else. And now we've set up, because before, the first generation of mast, you can play in the box, because the box, the base, doesn't arrive until the end, doesn't touch the bottom of the box. It's not anymore the case. So when you put your foil in the box and you tied, it's fit, it doesn't move. And this doesn't allow any breakage of any kind of breakage also. Because when you have your mast start moving in the box, of course, at a certain point, you will break your box. This is ineluctable. So for sure, it will happen. So it's important that it's super fit and nothing moves.
Great. Thank you very much. I think my PowerPoint is working again. I'm not sure. Are you guys seeing it?
Yeah.
I guess you do. Okay, so that's basically what you are resuming. I have some issues putting the, I don't know why it's just blocking. I think it's a Microsoft issue. In the case of the kiters, they have their stab blocked. They can't touch their stab. They can't touch their front wing. And the only thing they can do is putting shimming on the between the mast and the fuselage. And it was actually very interesting because it was easy to understand what was the incidence of the front foot pressure, and sometimes that's something what's happening with the foil. And I guess that something's gonna happen for the girls, because you know what happened in windsurf, like most of the development is made by men who are much heavier, and then at some point the girl's gonna have to adapt to a 115 fuselage, some very powerful stuff. So maybe they're gonna have to adapt their 50 or 60 kilos to a very powerful equipment. And I was wondering if you were considering that shimming the fuselage was something interesting also.
Alors, the technology of the kite allows this kind of stuff. Why? Because the load that you have in kite is 1,000 times less than the windsurf. Why? Because first of all, kite have a sail up to 20 meters in the air and pulling up. Us is totally different. We have a sail of 9 meters with pulling down and with more front. So the force is not the same. The G force is not at the same place at all. So the reason why a kite, for example, can go upwind, even go better upwind than us, but with the front wing who is almost glued to the mast. But us, because we have the mast base who is quite forward, with around 125, 128, etc., then you have a force who's going down. So you need to have a front wing which is much more forward to allow this. So I will explain this in another way, that the load, and I developed with, I participate in the development of air rush kite for the Olympic also, and we measure everything, and I can tell you the load on a kite foil is nothing compared to the load on a windsurf foil. So it's totally different world. So the stuff that you can apply with a shim on a fuselage or even in the box, who can work on kite, but as soon as you do it on a windsurf, it's allowed to move slowly, and then you finish by breaking everything. So we have many issues the past 2 years because of box was breaking. We didn't add any reinforcement on the box, but now with that system, we don't have any breakage because nothing is moving. This is very important key. So if he start to move, he will break. So it's very important. We deliver with the iQFoil also torque ski, who allow you to give a lot of power on the screw that you cannot do with the Phillips at all. So tied a foil with a Phillips screw is impossible. You think you do something, but at the end, what's happening? You can check the washer of the front screw. It gets loose. But with the torque ski on the new washer we put for the iQFoil, when you tied it properly, you can windsurf 5 hours, you come back, everything is still tied. Nothing is moved. So this is the key to not break anything.
Got you. I got you. That's very interesting to have your point of view, Rémi, because we always want to touch something on the equipment. And another issue, I would call it another disease that the Olympic sailors have is about shimming. No, sorry, it's about sanding. I don't know, sometimes it's about improving the performance or releasing some stress before the race, because sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. But Olympic sailors, they just love to sand their stuff. So what is your point of view about this? And do you think there is, if necessary, any particular technique you would recommend?
So something first, I will say that while sailing, I don't think so they will allow to sanding anything. Just to tell you this, but something that I experienced for sanding my foil is simple. I use 800 sandpaper, water sandpaper, and I send in the sense of the fuselage. I send it in the sense of fuselage. On the mast along the length, on the wings also. That means the opposite, 90 degrees at the flow of the water. So this allows you to have a film of water who glide on the water. So this is very interesting. But the stuff which is the most important at the end is that you experience that sometimes your foil is crying. At a certain speed, you arrive at 25 knots and you start to non-stop. So to stop this, it's most coming. Hola. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I'm still there.
You're still there.
Okay. So it's about the trailing edge. So trailing edge of the mast, when it came out from the production, is a little bit round. It's, you need to look very carefully, and you will see that it's a little bit round. To stop that noise, in simple, you sand the trailing edge to make it flat. And suddenly, this noise will disappear. And you do the same for your wing, is still this noise. And see if you still have a noise, that it will come from the fuselage.
Already. Okay, yeah. So first, to recap, first is coming from the trailing edge, from the mast, and then eventually would come from the mast, because my foil is actually very noisy. Up to 15 knots, it starts getting noisy. And then for some reason, after 25 knots, because I'm very fast, it stops doing some noise. So it's just like in a range of speed, it's noisy. Before it's not noisy, and after it's not noisy. And I was wondering what I could do, because we usually are always sending between 15 and 25 knots. And okay, so great.
If you experience in slalom, for example, the slalom guys are very sensitive on this. And nowadays, the best fin on the market is the most sharper fin in the market. It's Carpenter. So this fin is like a cutter. And when I have the chance to work with Jim Drake, passing the years, he was telling me something very important, that more sharp you can make, more is better. But for this, when you have a foil with a production, mass production, you cannot have something with extremely thin, and also is very dangerous. If you touch the foil, you can have a very serious damage. Imagine an accident with very scratch and so on. So it's maybe not a good idea. So maybe for the PW, we will go in that extreme direction sooner or later, but because of this happening in slalom, so probably in foil it will happening also. But I don't think so that for one design class, we need to put some very dangerous knife underwater.
I don't think so neither, really. Great. So next question is, what are the differences between all the foils you have on the market? Because you have the Race Plus, the Race Pro, and something in between is the iQFoil now. So are there any production differences in between all those foils you have available? And I understood at the beginning that the girls would be sailing with the 800 front wing. So I'm a bit confused. Is it still the case?
No. So the girls have a 1 meter sail, 1 meter less sail than the men. That means they have 8, men have 9. So it will be a double punishment for them to put them on 8. On this, we developed this with Blanca and Marina Alabo, that are well known, and both of them are 56 kilos. So pretty light. And we try many times the different combination possible with them. And also I try many times with the Thai team in Thailand. And as you know, Asian people are the most light people in the world. So the girls was more or less 45 to 52 kilos. And even that girls, they didn't want to stay on 800. They want to have the 900 because they want more power.
And it's very convenient, you know, for the federations and people who are investing that the stuff is as similar as possible in between and the athletes. That makes everything much more simple for us.
Yeah.
Great. So and in between the productions foils, do you have any? Are they? I'm gonna share this image with you. Are there any big difference in between those foils?
Alors, the best foil on the market on our starboard line is the Olympic one. That means the iQFoil. Why? Because everything coming from the mast. The mast is the most stiffer mast that we have in our range. So it's this mast we put in production. And I was fighting to get a stiffer mast because when you have a stiffer mast, it allows you to fly higher. More your mast is stiff, more you fly higher, more your mast is outside of the water, less you have drags, so more you go fast. It's simple as that.
So you're saying that the iQFoil mast and the Race Plus mast are different?
Yes, the Race Plus is coming from the old layup, from the first generation. So the best mast is definitely the iQFoil in our range.
Oh, that's great to know that.
The Olympic guys can be very happy because they have the best foil as possible.
That's great. That's really good to know. And then the fuselage and wings, they're the same production.
Yes, the fuselage and the wing are the same. So except for the foil race, with the first one was proposed with a 115 fuselage, not the plus.
And how did you make the mast stiffer? Is it bigger, the mast, or?
No. It's the same mast, but we use a high modulus carbon. So you have to know that the standard one was in GPA 200, while the iQFoil mast in GPA 400. So double stiffness, and there is double layup also of carbon. So
but the thickness is the same. The thickness of the mast is the same.
Exactly the same.
Great, that's good to know. Cool. I'm going to share you another picture. It's gonna sound funny for you, Rémi, because I guess you have been working a lot of it. It's regarding this board, and actually it was looking like a very good idea. What is funny is like the concept. It looks great. It's very clever because I mean a lot of issues we have in windsurfing comparing to kiting is the drag of the board, right? It's a huge board and it's generating a lot of drag, and that's not necessarily good. And this board was actually a great design, and we can see that now a few years later, some other brands we won't mention are taking those innovation like theirs and they're putting this on the market. So I wanted to have your opinion about this, and why didn't it go through?
Okay, so as you see, our design, this was a request for Aaron McIntosh and Kieran Baldoe. And we say, okay, let's try. So we make this design and we test it with them particularly. And actually is not getting on the foil quick because actually you need your face at the nose to help you to get foiling. This so first doesn't help. Second, the worst is when you go downwind. It's not allowed to touch. If you touch, you're dead.
You die. If you touch, you die.
It's finished.
Yeah. So now we understand that like the main goal for foiling to be Olympic was to be performant in light wind conditions, right? So if you really needed to develop something very, very easy planning, right?
So the reason why the iQFoil is very, let's say that we designed so many boards. I don't remember how much board, but it's a lot with different shape of the nose on the full board. And to find out which is the best one to get on foil as quick as possible. And we found out that the concave on the deck is very, very helpful because this generates lift. And automatically, as soon as you have a little wind, this make a kind of suction who help you to get foiling. So if you make the deck totally flat, your body is like, you feel that the body is super heavy. You pump and you say, hey, what's going on? It's not going because you don't have this effect. And just by doing this, you feel automatically that your board is very light in the nose and the speed is big and you get falling quick. And also we develop the bottom of this board with big side cutaways. And the idea of all this is to get on the foil before planing. So if you compare to a classic formula board, you have to plane first, so pump hard to get on the foil. Here you have, how to say that? A water displacement with enough fast to make the foil working. So if a formula, for example, you just add some planing, you have a lot of force. You don't have release of the water. So you have to put a lot of force to try to get something to go fast, but you don't go fast until you get planing. But the iQFoil 895, you get enough speed before planing and the foil gets in action immediately. So actually you foil before planing.
Okay, that sounds great. We really want to try that because we don't have the board yet, but we go on it. And what about the opposite conditions, not the light, but the very strong wind conditions? You guys developed a fin that we can adapt on the board for very strong conditions. What's your very personal opinion about? Is it something you develop for marketing reason, let's say, because you know what, foiling in very strong wind can be very, very, very dangerous eventually? Or do you think that in the medium term, all the foilers will be good enough and we're going to be able to foil all together in 30 knots? What's your personal opinion about it?
Alors, we create this class for multiple reasons. So first, we want to have a super wide base. So when you start to begin, you are a beginner, you can foil from 8 to, let's say, 15 knots without a problem. Then you get experience on experience. But for these people, when it will be 25 knots, they cannot handle the foil. So they will put fin. So this is the first step. But even at very high level, if you have extremely sea condition, because you can handle the foil until 35 knots. But the problem, if the water condition is big waves, is a big problem. Because particularly when you go downwind, you don't have the time to adjust the height between the waves. And then you can have big catapult. And this, when you go upwind and the others go downwind, it can be very dangerous. So I know that there is people who say, oh, I will never use the foil. But did they use foil in 35 knots in 3-4 meters of waves? No. Most of them never do this. I do this test in Vietnam, and I can tell you over there it's always 30 to 40 knots. And I go to test the limit of the equipment with a 9 meter. And I can tell you, I make a huge catapult, I almost break my neck. So when is the condition, the sea condition are extremely hard, foiling start to be very dangerous. So the option of the foil is whatever the condition are, you have no excuse, you go racing. It's not the case of the other class in Olympic. Particularly 49 now.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess the rig has not been developed for the fin at all. No, it's mainly been developed for the foil.
No, it works perfectly because the first sail, the HG2, no, I agree with you. This sail cannot work for a fin purpose. But the HGO, we can see that they cut the bottom of the sail seriously, that you can use with a fin first, but also you can open the leash more than the HG2. So at the end, you have a sail with kind of hybrid, but at the end, it's performed much better than the HG2. The HG2 was going too much in the light wind version, and it was not very good at the end. Now we have a sail with more deep above the boom, so will give you more power than the HG2, but also you have a leash with open a little bit more, and you can use in a stronger wind on foil because this is easy, but when it's on the fin, you need to have the sail with open more than the foil. So at this time it's okay.
Okay, great, Rémi. Cool. And we had some issues the past few years with the past Olympic manufacturer with the changes in equipment, and eventually they were changing stuff without advising the class. Do you think like you have everything set like for the production for the next 3 years? Well, at least for the next 4 years until 2024, or do you believe we still need some adjustment on some parts of the equipment?
No, everything is set up. If we have a problem, that will be a surprise in a warranty or something with breaking, then we will need to reinforce. But this will be not a decision that we will make without advise the riders. We don't want to make the same stories that RS6 was doing, changing parts, and then say, sorry guys, you don't have the last one, so you cannot race. No. We don't want to do the same shit that RS6 was doing. So very, very clear. So I know you, I know all the guys in the top level on RS6, and the main problem they have was this. So we want to get out of this equation for iQFoil completely.
That's great to hear, Rémi. And just remind that this conversation will be recorded.
For sure. I will be glad to discuss again, but the only stuff who can move us for something to change, it will be something with breaking with unexpected. That's it.
Absolutely. Great.
And
perfect.
Of course, we need to reinforce to make the customer happy.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much, Rémi. That was all the questions on my part, and I'm sure that all the people who are listening to us now have their questions. So we're gonna keep going with people's question. We'll begin with Ricardo Robato, who was asking, will the new class use the same foil manufacturers or licensed by Starboard? Is it a different approach from kiteboard where we have different designs sail together? So I believe this question is, you recently guys published something about a whiteboard project, which means that different manufacturers could do the Starboard board. Do you pretend to extend this to different parts, not only the board? And did you receive any offer from different boards, from different brands already?
So this is a decision of World, and it will be the board. The board will be manufactured with other brands who are interested to do it. But it's not planned to have for the rig, for the foil, because that will be way too complicated for World to control everything. Because
absolutely.
If you have different manufacturer, then it's different process. Then you don't have the same stiffness, twist, and etc. for every part, and then it will be a mess.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you very much, Rémi. I let the sailors speak directly to you, all right? So okay, thank you very much. I put myself on mute, and they're gonna ask you directly.
We have Bimba who want to ask a few questions to you, Rémi. Bimba.
Hello, Rémi. How are you?
How are you, Bimba?
Thanks for the meeting. We have some questions. We are very worried about the number of sailors in Brazil. Okay, that's the Tokyo Olympics will be the first time ever that there is no Brazilian men competing. So we don't want this happen again in 2024. So right now in this meeting, there are like 30 people watching, and maybe only 3 or maximum 4 are really interested in go to the Olympics. And we want to change this number. We would like to know, yesterday we spent more than 3-4 hours in a WhatsApp group deciding which equipment to use before the iQFoil arrive in Brazil. So we would like to ask you which plan to take, which way to try to make the windsurf bigger, how we can help the kids, how the federation can work with us, and what's your ideas to make the number of windsurfers in Brazil grow again. You know, we have a really big market in South America. I think we can sell much more equipment in the future, but we need help. So tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so if you are not aware, we launch at the moment the iQFoil 85 with a junior and youth board. So for the junior, you will have even 5, 6, and 7 meter with a alu race foil with the same fuselage as a senior, but with the front wing 800. So this will be for the junior. And for the youth, they will have the HGO 8 meter, and with the front wing 900. So this board is in a construction we call a Starlight Carbon with the same weight as a 95 carbon reflex. So, but the board is smaller, of course. So it's a good ratio, and as a result, you have a package with much more cheaper than the iQFoil 95 carbon reflex. Because the mast from the foil is in alloy, but the boom also is in alloy. And for the junior sails, it's a free cam sails with very simple, but who have a huge power. So this is allowed to have the maximum of people who join the journey on iQFoil.
Okay, thanks. And just to finish, you recommend, there is a document, a PDF saying what equipment you recommend before we have the iQFoil. We have an important competition, the Copa Brazil in October. Probably only Mateus is gonna have the iQFoil, or maybe nobody. And we spend a lot of time deciding what to use, what will be allowed. And for example, in Brazil, not many people has the front wing 900. We have 800 and 1000. And we were talking about allowed people to use the Formula boards with 1000 front wing, maybe the biggest mast, just to make more people attracted to this event. Do you think we're gonna make a huge difference if we allowed people to use 1000 front wing, or in the beginning we're gonna be just the level of the athletes, just to make people more relaxed about these things? We have to take a decision what we're gonna be allowed for this event.
So if you go on the class rules of the iQFoil, then it will be pretty strict. So, but you don't have the equipment at the moment, so you cannot do this. So you have for the moment, until the equipment arrive in your country, to open it up completely. So leave it open as soon you have enough rider with on iQFoil equipment, whatever is 85 or 95. And then you can make rules. But in my opinion, for the beginning, you cannot be restrictive, at least for the first year. For the second year, it depends how much equipment will be in your country. So this is dependent about the distribution network that will be in Brazil.
Okay, thanks. Just to the last one, sorry guys. How old do you recommend the kids to start foiling? Doesn't matter, depend of the kid, or you think we should put on foil as soon as possible?
Me, the first time no, not the first time, sorry. The last time I go to Nouméa was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I go to the club of Mr. Gaillard, the son of the two champions, Nicolas and his brother who is going to the Olympic. And I was very surprised because there was kids already of 8 years old was foiling. So don't underestimate kids. And if they want to go foil, leave them to go foil. On another stuff that last year when we was at Gardalec, Torbolé, for the world selling trials, during the world selling trials, there was another club on the side who the teacher coming with some kids was between 8 and 12 years old. And all of them was foiling while RS6 was pumping. So on this, it was a massive impact on world selling and say, wow, if we don't go foiling, we are completely dead. So don't underestimate kids, and if they want to foil, don't make a break for them. Let them go as soon as they want.
That's a very good. That's a very good question, Bimba, and I think we should think about the philosophy of what is going to be windsurfing for the youth in the future, because you know that the mainstream, the main people coming from RS6 were sailing big techno before, and it's still a very, very strong class in the world, right? And what could happen? There is someone here has the microphone open with a very loud sound. Is it okay? So what would happen if we have half of the youth on the big techno and then on the other half foiling already? Do you think maybe it would be good to do an open foiling class for the youth or whatever? What is your opinion about it? Because we might lose like what we got already is a big main class with all the youth all together in.
So it's a question for Bimba or me?
It's for you, Remy.
Okay, so I will give you the last update that we have for junior and youth. So we have already 4 world titles for next year for the iQFoil 85 youth. That means we have 2 for senior, men and girls. We have 2 for youth, boy and girls, and we have 1 for junior for the moment. And the objective that we are doing at the moment is make the requirements that World Sailing asks us to have 4 more world titles for junior for next year. And if we succeed before the 15th of October, this will be done.
So you are talking about the sub 17, sub 15, men and girls?
Exactly.
That's the 4 titles?
Exactly. So you will have 2 for under 17 and 2 for under 15.
So let's say that you are officially getting into the big techno market, like it's you're going right on.
Okay, I will give you an example. Nouméa tried to form a big. Nobody uses it. All the kids are on foil, all of them. And I bet you, I'm sorry for big, but they do a very good job all these years. There's nothing to complain about. But the world is changing. And nowadays, a kid who is on a big techno and he will see his friend who is on a foil foiling full speed around him, I bet you that he will try foil very quick.
Right.
It's like that. We cannot stop it. So it's better to prepare. So if it's happening, it's happening. But Big also is proposing something. For example, we have the FFV trial with 30th of June, and there is many brands with included Big who propose Olympic, let's say a junior class on foil for under 17 and under 15. So.
And my last question about it, Rémi, would you consider, because it's very important to keep the market and to keep the volume as high as possible. I'm absolutely not saying that it's good or bad. It's I believe, like you, that it's an evolution, and if we want to keep the windsurfing growing, we have to adapt, right? But would you consider eventually an open class option? That means that Severn and Starboard do have their proposal for the U17. It's this board, this sail, this size, that price, and then another brand could propose the pack with the maximum sail size and maximum dimensions. Would you consider a format like that?
But it depends. When you arrive to one design, it's one design to make something which is fair for everybody. So it's a depend of the brand. We are how to say that, very motivated to make something with modern, exciting for the kids. Because if we want to have more people in the future with growing the market, it's from the kids. It's not coming from anything else. Because the old guys of 35 and until 60, it's not them who will grow the market anymore. So it's the kids who's coming. So we need to make something very exciting for them to join. And I can tell you, for example, a good example is that in Thailand, I go foiling around a club with a specialist in optimist. And when I pass in the group of optimists, all the kids was crazy about it because it was the first time they saw that. And the coach with his boat come to me and say, okay, please come here. My kids want to see your equipment and they want to have an explanation of what's going on here. So I tried to explain all the stuff and straight away they say, wow, after Optimist, this is what I want to do. Nothing else. So I say, yeah, but you will, and this was 2 years ago. And I say, now you have the big techno, so you should go to big techno and then continue. They say, no, I don't want. I want to do foil. So it's just the world is changing and we have to accept it and prepare for it and prepare something with affordable, durable, and very exciting for the kids. So now if there's another brand who do the same passion and make a lot of energy for it, I'm fine.
Good.
Acho que o Walter quer falar. Valtinho, it's your turn.
Sorry?
We might have lost someone who had a question. Well, we'll go through another question. We'll go back to more technical stuff. So one question was, does the board and foil lose performance over the time? What will be the usage time without this loss of performance?
Well, me, I have my master since, because I am in the development. So I have the prototype of the iQFoil mast with the first one that I received, let me think, December 2018. And we measure the mast in a machine to control the twist and the stiffness. And we do it again, I think 3 months ago. And it's exactly the same measure. So when a mast is built in a prepacked carbon, it's on high modulus carbon, it's difficult to lose performance.
So it's GPA 400, isn't it?
400, yes.
Okay, great. And what about the warranty? Like a few nice things we had with the RS6 class was the warranty process was actually working very well. It was online. We had the possibility to just to pause the receipt and pictures, and the guy there is a guy in charge of checking the breakage and stuff, and then we had the possibility to pass through a dealer afterwards. How is your position with this? How is it gonna work?
So simple that when you have somebody have a problem, it just report to the distributor, and the distributor send us the request. So if the distributor found on his side that is have to be changed, he will take the decision even before us. We will trust them, no problem on that. So if he don't know, he will send us anyway. He send us the warranty claim. And in 48 hours, he has the answer. So
Okay.
that will be quick.
Just let's take an example, like a Brazilian sailor who bought his equipment in Brazil through the Brazilian distributor, is sailing in Italia for the Worlds, and there he has an issue with his fuselage, like the aluminum is breaking and he has to change it. Is it possible to pass through the Italian distributor so he can get his fuselage as soon as possible, or he's going to have to wait for the Brazilian distributor to get the fuselage shipped and extra?
So this is at the discretion of the Italian distributor. If he have stock and he want to help, yes, no problem. So if he don't have stock, he cannot do it.
What I mean by the rules, he should be dealing with his distributor only.
Yes, he should deal with his distributor for sure.
Okay.
And if the other distributor want help, yes, no problem. But this is less easy, I will say.
Okay, great. Thank you. Delente voce.
Thank you, Adrien, and thank you, Rémi, for your time. I am the technical manager responsible for all the events here in Brazil. It's more going in two ways. First, the question of BIMBA, that is very important for us. Thank you for your answer. We are going to organize our first event with iQFoil official here in Brazil. And this is important, very important for us to know how to act at this moment, to look forward to Paris. And my second question is, or my really question is, how are you working with World Sailing regarding development of equipment? So my question is, the equipment that we are going to buy today, is your intention that it will be quite the same until Paris?
It's the same equipment that is delivered nowadays until 2024. No change.
Okay, so this is the agreement with World Sailing.
Exactly. And if there is a change, it's because of warranty case. Then that means we need to reinforce something more.
Okay, and as I understood, it will be totally one design equipment.
Absolutely. With a very high control in tolerances. So you will see that every single part of the equipment will have a QR code sticker on it. So every part, that's the fuselage, the wings, the stab, the mast, the board, the boom, the sail, every single part, the fin, will have a QR code. On this QR code, you can use your telephone and you can scan it, and you will have all the tolerances of your fin, your mast, etc., etc., etc. So it will be very precise. So all this data will be available for every single customer.
Okay, thank you, Rémi, and thank you for your time with us.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Rémi. Bimba has another question. Like, you know that that the Olympics are delayed 1 year, but your project, I guess, is not. So do you realize that next year we're gonna have RS6 and foilers on the same course area? It's going to be a bit weird and funny, but are you prepared for that? Do you have an idea which are the main races that iQFoil is going to be present next year?
So yes, we have already some data for the European Championship this year, which will be in Garda in October. So on the next year, we are.
It's the World Championship, isn't it?
World Championship, sorry.
Yeah.
And then you have some date with preparing at the moment for next year, etc. So I cannot talk now about this because it's not official yet. But we have a big calendar with it on the way for sure. And now the fact that LS6 is postponed to 1 year more. I discussed a little bit with Gaillard, for example, and for him it's a punishment. He wants to join his friend on foil as soon as possible, of course. So it will be at the World on foil, despite he have the LS6 Olympic next year. He will continue as he do always. That means he do LS6, but also he do foil with the best way to stay motivated. To do the same support all the time, at a certain point you get motivation get fade, and this is very bad for the spirit. But if as soon you change support, your motivation is still there. So
right.
It's not about thing at the end.
Sure. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rémi. I'm gonna give the words to Juan.
So Rémi, just to recap, I think it's important to hear about, again, your recommendation for the countries starting with new programs with the foil, you know. Your recommendation is to start an open class and start building that program as we have start getting the equipment from you guys, right? So maybe the first and second year, first year open, second year start seeing how much material and equipment are we having here, and maybe consider to switch. But effectively will be the third year to switch all to the Olympic material. That's your recommendation?
Yeah, because otherwise you cannot start. If you start to make a very strict iQFoil and there is no equipment, what you will do? Because the equipment is not here. So basically you don't have another choice. So the stuff that you can say is that, for example, say, okay, it's open, but to stay fair, you say that the sail is maximum 9 meters. So when the other ones receive their iQFoil, they have 9 meters. So it's fair for everybody. So this is what I will say.
And the other question is, imagine you are a sailor, you have 19 years old, or I don't know, 17, better, 17. Which you have a small budget, which equipment will you buy? The Olympic, the junior?
No, the junior, definitely. Because when you look, for example, the French Federation is pretty smart on that way. So they postpone until minus 21 years, under 21. That means they can use iQFoil 85 with the 8.0, that means the youth equipment, but until 21 years old. Because there is many riders who want to foil, but they are not necessarily want to go to the Olympic. So this is to keep the people with an affordable product until 21 years old, the minimum.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can apply this kind of stuff in Brazil, but for me, I think it's a very good solution, particularly in your country where the tax are very high, and this will be very helpful for most of the riders, actually.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, and we are going to work on that. You have maybe a list price, or is on the site about the junior and the different equipment? Is there a standard prices? Will be like a discount for youth sailors?
Alors, so I will explain you. The price that I know more or less is for Europe because we know approximately the tax. Brazil is a very special country who have a crazy tax, and since I don't want to speak for this place that I don't know perfectly on that side. But something is important that I didn't mention yet, that for a junior who want to start, let's say he have 12 years old. It's a boy who is already, let's say, 55 kilo, 50, 55 kilo. He take a 6 meter, let's say. If it's a girl, maybe she's 40 kilo or 45 kilo, she will take the 5, okay? So then she grow up. What she have to do next? The girl, she will probably move to 6 meter or 7 meter if she's under 17. The boy until under 17 will go simply change the scale. So that means between 12 years and 17 years old, I have to change one cell. That's it. And then when you will jump to youth category with under 19, you have to change the front wing on the rig. Because now he will have the right to get a AGO 8 meter. So it need a new mast and need a new boom. So it's minimal investment from 12 to 19 years old. And if you decide in your country to go to 21 years old, then it will be 12 to 21 years old. So it will be a very minimal investment all over the years. So this is very important key also.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is regarding the emergency nations program, you know, for distribution of the equipment. And it's funny because the most South American countries, as you know, we have a lot of issues about our sailing budget. As you know, Brazil with the taxes. So maybe it will be important for Starboard and World Sailing to get the Brazil into the list, you know, as an emergency nation regarding the distribution. You know how that works? What is in your opinion?
There is a list of emergent country. I don't know if Brazil is inside. I don't think so. But this is a World Sailing who decides, so I have no power on that side. So I cannot speak about it because I don't know, simply.
Okay, don't worry.
I can explain the situation to everyone because there is a confusion about this because Starboard was was explaining that they would give 50% discount to the material for emerging nations. It's a maximum of 10 equipment, but it's not 50% and you get it in your front door. It's 50% ex factory, so you still have to manage the transportation of the equipment from Thailand and China, so it's two different places, to Brazil, and then we've dealt with the Brazilian taxes. So it's not as convenient than you believe. But we should go deeper in the numbers. But the main issue with Brazil are the taxes, and that's the main difficulty to pass through that.
Okay, and the last question we have here is, you know, if we're going to be any equipment for renting at the Worlds in October?
In October, so I don't know for this. I need to contact Gonzalo, who is in charge of this. I don't know if there's a charter equipment is organized yet, but I will get back to him, and then I will make Adrien aware to diffuse the information to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Rémi, for your time.
I guess
it's a pleasure.
We can close. Rémi, thank you very much for your participation and info. It's truly amazing opportunity for us to be chatting with you, learning more about, and you are always welcome here in Brazil to sail. It's a beautiful place. I love it.
I know.
Yeah.
Since the first time I go to Brazil, I want to go back every time. The first time was in 2001 in Fortaleza.
Yeah.
So it was a world in Formula. It was an amazing place, and then I come back 2 or 3 times. 3 times, I think. And the last time was for a world in Formula experience in Araúma.
Oh,
So
nice.
was pretty nice also.
So the Brazilian Sailing Federation have all the doors open for you to come back and be here.
Thank you.
Sailing with our guys, and why not changing some experience again. So,
but if you guys come to Thailand, you will be very welcome also to visit everything on our side.
Beautiful.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Adrien, for the opportunity and making the connection real and happening. And thank you for all the people who were here assisting our video. Muito obrigado, pessoal. Então, a gente que agradece a vocês. Esta aula vai estar gravada e a gente vai colocar no canal da CVV. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Bye.
Bye bye.
À bientôt, Rémi. Ciao.
Okay.